All right, all right, all right. Welcome, you loyal listeners, to another episode of Agents Influence Conversations with who? Cass. But here's the deal. Once again, it is InsurTech Week. That's right. Better than Shark Week. All right, because we are bringing it to you. So that means you know automatically, like you've heard from the other podcast this week, Jeff Shi, my boy, is on here. He's on here for a reason because he is the CEO of a tech company, CoverHound, but he also has his what should I say, finger on the pulse, ear on the ground to a lot of things that are happening in money, in crypto, and InsurTech, and leads, and agency acquisitions, and most importantly, just kicking ass for the insurance industry. That's why I love Jeff. You loyal listeners know I only bring people on to help me who are good people and truly have the insurance industry at heart. And then we got over here Sutika, Matt Sutika, just like the song, loyal listeners. Come on, sing it to yourself right now while you're in the car, while jogging down the road. Sutika. I think it's Phil Collins. Is that what you said, Matt?
Phil Collins, yes. He wrote it just for our family.
That wrote it just for their family. It's an incredible story. You ought to read about it in his biography. That's going to be coming out in 2037. Now, hey, Matt, thank you very much for joining us. And I'm really excited to get to know you a little bit more rather than just being out there on the social world.
Yeah, glad to have me. Anytime Jeff texts me, whether it's 3 a.m. or whatever, and says I need to do something, you mentioned he knows everybody. He is like the Kevin Bacon of insurance, right?
So Kevin Bacon of insurance is a good comparison.
Yeah. So Jeff has got me doing all kinds of stuff, and this is one of the things I've been most excited for because I am a loyal listener. I think that's what you consider everybody, right? That
absolutely
listens to you. And I've been sitting around just waiting for the call from Cass one day to get on and do some type of podcast. And it's like, how many days do I have to wait? But Christmas has came early. I'm here, and I love Shark Week. And if this is better, I'm in. Count me in.
InsurTech Week. That's right. Changing the industry. That's what we do. At the beginning says change your life, change your family, and in the end, we're going to change an industry, and that's what we're doing here. Matt, you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you an iPhone or are you a Droid user?
I'm an iPhone guy.
Yep, okay. Last app that, look at she, he loves it. Bouncing like he's listening to some hip-hop going down the road saying yes. Look at him.
I'm Apple all
It's
the
one
way.
of the cool crowds.
Yeah.
Matt, tell me the last app you downloaded, man.
Gosh, everything's from my baby right now. So it was this little app that tracks his movements and his videos and whatever. The wife has me downloading right now. So baby related apps right now is a hot commodity in our house.
You have one child?
Yeah, brand new little 8-week-old boy named Penn.
Oh,
so our firstborn.
Remember it? I remember seeing it on Facebook. That's right. So many of my friends are having kids and getting married. I can't keep all of them. Sutika. All right. So, do you love to win or do you hate to lose?
I think it's typical for everybody in our spot to say hate to lose. So I'm going to go with I love to win. To me it's I love the idea of knowing what a win looks like and then hitting it. So I'll go with that answer.
Okay. All right. I like that. Two things. So loyal listener, you know that skill or luck. Which one's been a bigger factor in your life?
Which one do you put hard work or under skill or luck? I would skill of working hard. Okay, then I'll go skill.
Yeah.
Always
I really do.
Always a hard worker. Never the smartest, but I'll outwork you. That's always been kind of my mind frame.
Same motto here, brother. Same motto here. And yeah, well said. I think a lot of us could say that, I don't brag because I didn't go to college, but I am happy that I didn't go to college. But then I'm also sad I didn't go to college because, you know what I mean? And more from just the experience. As I get older with education and learning, I'm like, man, I wish I would have learned this in actual lecture form. Problem with then I wasn't interested in it like I am now, you know?
It's
Matt, take
education
us back.
is wasted sometimes on the youth, and in a weird way, right? I think the same thing and have the same conversation with my wife all the time that, I would have loved to go to these classes I spent thousands of dollars on back at 18 that I only cared about going to the bar at that time or whatever it was, or girls or, whatever. And now I would kill for one of those classes to actually like learn about economics or, or this or that. So we got to flip it. I think the same thing about like we use all of our money after 50, and it's like our money we should use when we're in our 20s and 30s, and then just be normal lifestyles after 50. So we do a lot in reverse.
We really, really, truly do. Hey, remember the show Benjamin Button or something like that? The story of Benjamin Button, or you remember that one, She? With Brad Pitt, and he like is born and goes backwards or whatever. That was a cool movie, man. Someone was creative thinking of that shit. Man, take us back to high school. Take us back to your diapers, as far as you want to go back. In about 2 or 3 minutes, bring us forward to tell us who you are so we can relate, brother.
Very cool, very cool. Yes, small town kid out of Michigan. Went to college, Michigan State. Since we brought up not college, I am proud of that from a standpoint that I love our sports teams and had some good times up at Spartan Land. After college, I went right into insurance. My dad has owned a State Farm for 40 years, so I grew up in the captive world, diapers. So I opened up a scratch agency. I think I was like 22, 23 right out of college in Indianapolis. Did that for, 5-6 years. Then went and opened up a scratch independent in Illinois. Got connected with some guys in the real estate space. They owned a large portion of Century 21 real estate company. So we built kind of a brokerage around real estate and helping them with their homeowners policies. And from there, I started getting heavily into the InsurTech space. Since Jeff is on the call, and I always have to bring this up to him, I started posting about InsurTech, and guys like Jeff at the time were, giving me side messages about Nationwide, and then over time, that's actually how Jeff and I started our relationship, which is kind of unique, is him and I were both seeking truth, right? Like, and we were, what's going on with our industry, and that's kind of how him and I met. Was this idea of the InsurTech space. Started working in that along with real estate, and did a lot of consulting and stuff for the InsurTechs over that time. And then finally, I had two brothers from Chicago convince me to come move my company over to Obie and kind of give my own hand at the InsurTech space as an actual owner and employee, if you will. And that's where I'm at today.
Dude, sounds great. So it's crazy. Obie is an InsurTech, because I think it has to do with dogs. You have a kennel system. Obie seems like, you're talking about okay, I got you. I forgot that you worked there, Matt. That's goofy as can be, but it's what I think of. I don't know why I think of a dog. I don't know if there's a thing called Obie the dog. Is that your guys' mascot, Matt?
You know what? That is really odd and weird, because there's only like 3 people that know that Ryan, our CEO, his dog was named Obie, and that's where the name came from. I actually didn't find that out till like somewhat recently. So I mentioned that I have an iPhone, and since you brought that up, I'm assuming that you're tapping into my iPhone conversations, because there's only like 3 or 4 people.
That is wild.
That actually know that that's where it came from. So, Cass, as always, you are on the up and up of knowledge.
Dude, I swear I didn't know that. I just picture that and feel it. I'm telling you, listen to me about my crypto shit. Yeah, Garfield's good too. Yeah, what is it? Yeah.
I think it's Odie. That might be where you're coming from.
Interesting fun fact. Earlier you dropped to the listener that I am CEO of CoverHound, and that is actually not correct. I am the CEO of CoreHound. CoreHound logo.
My fault. You should have corrected me then, Jeff.
Nah, it's okay. I'll let you keep on talking. So CoreHound logo is also a puppy as well. So, if you put CoreHound together, Obie together, Dodge together, Shiba Inu together. We have like a little puppy mill.
We're like
I looked up
we're the
CoverHound.
dog pound, baby. We're the dog
Yeah,
pound.
I actually looked up CoverHound. CoverHound was acquired by Brown for 111 million, according to Crunchbase, and they were invested by Hiscox and a couple other big InsurTech investors. So
Yeah.
while I was
Oh
listening
my
to you, I was
gosh.
doing my
I would
research
like to
on
be the
CoverHound.
CEO of
Dude.
CoverHound too. Jason, can you get me that
Oh,
to happen? Like,
dude, that's
What's
funny.
funny is Chubb, Sumitomo Insurance Company, Hiscox, and Aflac invested in their Series D. We're talking about four of the most prominent investment companies, right? And then Series C was American Family. I mean, everybody who is an insurance investor on the VC side invested in CoverHound. That's pretty interesting.
and Jeff
So,
runs it.
for the listeners,
That
Crunchbase
is.
is where you can find some random information about random companies. And I was just looking it up.
Wow. That, dude, great.
Go ahead, Matt. Matt, what were you going to say?
No,
Matt, dude,
I
let's
think
get on with.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, tell us a little bit about, before we get on, about InsurTech and all the cool shit in this industry. What is Obie? Why did you join it? Why did you like it?
My number one is, like I said, I got to see a lot of firsthand what was going on in the InsurTech space, and then I knew the independent space, and I felt like our product, which is a 1 to 4 unit rental product, right, for landlords, and in 50 states, that's kind of what we're trying to do. Is I felt like we could be really the Dropbox for the space, and what I meant by that is if I went and joined Hippo or a Lemonade or whatever, there's a lot of traffic in the home and auto space, right? And there's a lot of competition.
Mhm.
There's a lot of good legacy carriers still, just in general. So, being pro independent agents, right? And that's what I was always trying to help these insurtechs get into. If I called even the two of you or the average broker and said, "Hey, I got a new home carrier for you. It's great, blah blah blah," you're like, "I already have home carriers, I already have auto carriers. It's not a huge need. Why would I bring it in?" Where the typical broker, right, most likely doesn't have the world's greatest carrier for the rental space, right? Or they could really use something that's quick and efficient to get their Aunt Sally who just called in, who bought a rental downtown and wants to insure it. So we felt like we could really get into almost, every brokerage across the United States, because we were building a product that, yeah, it might not write as many as home and auto, but we can be involved with everybody and really be a tool that, most brokerages, could use to have in their agencies and, make their agency better, instead of, trying to flip a Travelers HO product over, or trying to, get a limit on some of these carriers, etc., things like that. So that's why I got into the space, is I felt like we were in a good position to really, I use the word Dropbox, but be the Dropbox of the space.
So the Dropbox of the space. Why do you say that?
Dropbox plays nice with
I'm
everybody.
going off my question, yeah.
Right? So, whether you're Microsoft, your Apple, your any product, your Slack,
Gotcha.
Dropbox says, look, we do something specific, right? And we'll integrate with anybody. Like anyone can use us to store files, and you can access it from whatever you use. You want to access from Slack, you want to access it from Google, you want to access it from Outlook, whatever you want to do. We'll be a partner, and that's kind of why I feel that way. Is we want to be a partner to everybody instead of as much competition focused.
Okay, all right. She-Dog, what you got? I mean, I know your gears are over there turning.
So, so this is like about InsurTech, right? So InsurTech are people know the problems, right? If you want to be amazing at InsurTech, you got to be amazing at understanding all the problems. I'm going to give you multiple questions. So what is the most broken thing about your space that you guys are trying to reimagine for the future? And then take us back to the first meeting. Is there like a music playing?
Sorry,
in the
dude.
background?
Sorry. I accidentally hit a button and I couldn't make it go off. I apologize, loyal listeners. My God.
Loyal listeners, sometimes Jason
sorry.
Cass is a professional, but sometimes Jason
I'm
Cass
sorry.
is on his Android mode. So that was an Android moment.
No,
So
I mean I
sorry about
have
that, loyal
this
listeners.
thing. It's really kind of crazy. Sorry
I,
about that, loyal
I
listeners.
can
Go
jump in
ahead,
on
Jeff.
that, Jeff. I think number one is first and foremost is the rental space is so much different in 2021. You know, even take away COVID, rentals are Airbnb, VBRO, short term, all these different things. Prop tech companies are coming into the space, right? We're talking about InsurTech, but there's also prop tech, right? Like the property tech companies, the property managers are digitalizing. And so our number one thing is we wanted to have a product that actually makes sense for what's going on right now, right? People need to be able to endorse this thing to use it for Airbnb or VBRO or any of these platforms. Even simple, there's not a lot of great products for even in the old school, like just if someone's doing a renovations or it's going to be vacant, or they're going to remodel their place. You know, a lot of times you're having to flip that to a fully or partial earned builder's risk policy for a little bit, or you're having to go somewhere else and put it as vacant. And then when it finally is filled, you can kind of then put it back to a standard rental product. We really think that it should be one product that you're endorsing on basically the lifestyle, if you will,
I
of
like that.
the thing. So if their lifestyle is saying, hey, we're going to be vacant for a little bit, let's endorse that. They're gonna update themselves and do a makeover. Let's endorse that for a little bit. And then depending on how you want to rent it out to others, let's make sure that we're, equating for that. And we're not making you change 6 carriers during your journey.
Wow, that is interesting. So it's not so much just the tech of it; it's also the simplicity of using the actual the product itself. So that's interesting. I like that. That helps with servicing and all kinds of things. That goes beyond the hey, here's our tools to make it easy to get a quote and things like that. I like that a lot. And
Yeah.
I also found out it's Susu Studio. So Susu Studio. Some of the fans hitting me here live as we go live for across the world are telling me it's Susu Studio. So sorry about that, loyal listeners.
Yeah.
And
It's
actually
okay.
they did like the clapping, so I thought it was pretty cool. I like what you're saying though, Matt. A broker like me, the Insurance Alliance in beautiful downtown Edwardsville, could get access to Obie and start using you for our vacants, our rentals, and all that kind of stuff. Is that right or
Yeah.
wrong?
That is partially
Okay.
right. We're coming to agents in 2022. We haven't fully launched with the agency force, but yes, you will be able to. We started off with our version of DTC right now. If you follow me on social, you're probably seeing a post about this almost daily. We're direct to channel partners. So that was the other big piece that we're using tech is that a lot of these prop tech companies, Belong Home, Roofstock, Nest Egg, Fundrise, you name it, we're trying to build out a widget or build our policy within their tech to allow them to get insurance faster for their clients. The reason why I like the channel partner space is insurance is always, Jeff knows this from being a leads guy and everything, is insurance comes to you and leaves you usually in the same manner. If you're doing leads, they'll leave leads. If it's Google, they came to you, they'll probably Google search again. And so I like being partner based and channel part based where, we're providing insurance to someone who's coming to someone for something else. They actually have to leave that property manager or that app to leave our insurance. So that's why we started with those. And that's what we're launching right now. And then going into 2022, we'll start to launch our agency force, if you will, our brokerage appointments.
Okay.
So basically, you're referencing embedded insurance, right?
Absolutely.
So, this is 2022. 2022, in my opinion, what I foresee is embedded insurance is going to be the biggest growth of InsurTech in 2022 and just all insurance across the land.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what'd you call it? Embed?
Embedded insurance.
Yeah.
So think of like this, like you are reaching out to Kavana and Kavana say, hey, you guys have a lot of people have auto insurance transaction every single day. Would you put a link to my website and my website going to have a rater and then quote people on their auto, quote people on their homes. And, anytime you have a cross integration with a company that have already tons of internal online traffic, website hooks, website traffic. Those are all embedded insurance. And embedded insurance usually work on a revenue share basis, or let's just say Kavana will set up their own Jason Cass agency under Jason Cass. So embedded insurance is going to be the biggest growth, because right now the digital channel of digital acquisition online is crushing insurance carriers on the combined rate. If you look at like Progressive combined rate skyrocketing, a lot of people say, oh, that's because their loss ratio is going up. That is correct. But it's also their combined rate, their cost of acquisition, digital traffic, and through the direct carrier side, their call center side, their call center payroll is going up, lead acquisition going up. So embedded insurance is going to be what's always new, what's new is old. So.
Right. So just last night, I'm sitting there watching the football game, and I pause it, because you got to run in the kitchen real quick, and I pause it, and up on the side of the screen pops Flo, and she's like, hey, while you're taking a break, check us out. It just takes, I can't remember what it said, and I'm thinking to myself, how many times does the husband or the wife walk away to go do something, help the kids, and the other person's like, well, shit, I'll just go online real quick and get a quote, because they're embedded.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? They're embedding themselves?
No, that's just a spotlight share.
Oh,
so basically,
sorry.
Flow Progressive pay for that insurance spot, right? To a brand, continue to put the brand image in front of you. Embedded insurance is just like a Webflow traffic that's 1 click or 2 clicks away, and then like think Credit Karma. So when you're on Credit Karma app or lowermybill.com app, and then boom, there's 1 click. Your credit has gone up. You can save money on your auto insurance. So that's embedded insurance.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Matt, correct?
No, embed. That makes like an embed.
You are 100% correct. We're actually kind of taking it to even another level, because InsurTech is really data, right? Like insurance has always been data, right? And what you can do with it. And so we're actually going the next step. Imagine going into your mortgage site right now that has all the data on your home already, all the points that we would need to do a homeowner's quote, right? That you would plug in. And when you're in there paying your bill, it actually says, we have insurance for $2,100 for the year, right? Click here to buy, because we've pulled all that data already, pre-quoted it right in the system, and it's literally ready to bind. So we're doing that for all these companies that have all this data that we need to quote a rental product, right? Like they already know the address and the square foot and all the things that we would collect. We're rushing our stuff through it and literally providing that quote right in their portal, and they can click and bind it, and it's in place, right? So it's taking it to another level. It's almost we all own brokerages here, and we've done the home and auto in some forms. And at one point in your career, I bet you did something called what I call a home no auto list, or an auto no home list, where you basically are trying to like round out your book, right? And so you print these lists. Yep. I'm old school. I used to make cold calls, right? And so if you can imagine, yep. Right now you're calling that client saying, hey, I know you have your home. Can I quote it? And you're getting the objections of, I don't have time. I don't have all this stuff. But if you can imagine, if you embedded, right? And now your team is actually calling and saying, hey, we notice you have your home. We have it quoted for 816 through X, right? This carrier, Obie, right? Is that something you want to do? And if they say yes, you can bind and take payment right through Stripe right then and there and be done. Like, can you imagine how much better you would do on just a simple list like that? And that's what really embedded is bringing to the space, is that we're pre-quoting bindable policies to make things more efficient.
Yeah, it's probably like another reason why Amazon of the world trying to buy everything that's like home related, right? You ever hear that thing called Internet of all things?
Yeah,
right?
IoT.
But they try to enter IoT of anything that's home related, household related, right? Like Ring.com, etc. So, whenever you are entering someone's household, now you're entering someone's household through apps, through website portals, and then now it can link to things like insurance, healthcare, home maintenance, all that stuff. So embedded product and embedded insurance is all the growth in 2022. It's really powerful. It's going to take on a lot of revenue away from Google.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I also hear here that I talk about in the Great Separator about the fact that we have in the future you will make more money off the data in your agency will be worth more than the revenue stream that you have coming in from it. And loyal listeners, if you listen to what Matt is saying, he's talking about prop insure, right? So we're not even talking about, or, I'm sorry, prop tech, excuse me. And then we have InsurTech, and he's talking about prop tech for the property managers and stuff out there. And it's utilizing the data they already have and the data that we already have to be able to create that quote and embed that in that whole system to come down for, maybe you may not be able to be paid off the commission, but there's other ways that you can legally pay to where now the data that property management company has is worth something to him, but also the fact that they have the data on some of their own property being sold is a value for both chains. So we can start to see that, insurance companies one day will want to, in a big, huge way, get the data that is inside of our agencies. And I think a lot of the stuff, Matt, you have is categorical data, right? Their address, the year the house was built, those square footage. But I think also, loyal listeners, it's about the behavioral data of how that person is shopping, how that property manager is using their clients and their people, and how they're managing their own data. Because the more the data, the better the data, the cleaner the data, the more organized the data, more of the data, how the data is stored is going to create it easier for a company like Obie to be able to access and use that data, willing there to pay more for it. And this is not something, Jeff says in 3 years that embed will be one of the biggest increases. For it to be embed, there has to be software, but there has to be able to be a movement of the data. And we see that as a huge thing in like Southern Illinois, where we still have county records that aren't digitalized, right? So my VAs know that if they see a homeowners come through in one of these counties, they immediately have to be able to, or my agents, excuse me, when my agents see that it's in one of these counties, they have to ask more questions. If they find out that it's in Edwardsville, Illinois, we don't have to ask as many questions because the data's already there, and so to be able to use that is just vital. And I think it's important that we say it, that we hear that.
Yeah.
Anybody, you guys have anything to add to that?
I do real quick, so,
Go ahead, Matt, please.
Cass, I think the cool thing about it, and this is what Jeff and I talk about all the time. One, I'll save you the crypto stuff that I think like VeChain and stuff like that's going to do to records and everything for us in the future. But, what this is going to enable, if you think about it, is if we could teach this same type of embedded philosophy to all of our standard carriers, right? Then I'll use Obie as an example. Cass, you call me up next year and you say, hey, you know what? I don't know about Obie, but I love you, Matt, and I want to work with you, right? And so we can take the same type of approach with your book of business, right? Whether we're hooking into a Neon or an Easy or whatever, whatever your database is. And so right now you have a process from renewals that's probably something, on the standard of, new rate comes in for renewal. It's either a certain price and then you're going to shop it. And it's probably pretty manual. If you could imagine on just your rental book, to speak for Obie, if every time when something came up for renewal because of data, you were automatically had an Obie quote right there that was bindable. So the power of your CSR calling that client saying, hey, you're up, you could stay with Travelers. And if they say, oh, that rate's too high, be like, oh, I have a thing, and just instantly bind. You imagine what we can do. It's going to put the raters to the side. It's going to put all this other stuff a little bit to the side, because we're actually going to have live quotes that you can bind using this data from that standpoint too. So, I think there's going to be a lot of data in our agencies.
I'm curious how long before American Modern and shit comes and buys you guys up, because this shit ain't gonna last forever. We had this conversation, and Matt, I want to get your thoughts on this. We had this conversation yesterday. Shi, were you on the mastermind call? I don't think so. Yeah,
I was not, but just to go into that one, there's 17 million Americans right now, right? That owns a rental property. I think that's the number. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong.
That is
Okay.
Ryan of us partners. I am not the data guy. I'm the guy that makes
Okay.
up stuff.
So 17 million rental owners, and with VRBO, Airbnb, and that number is just increasing by the day, right?
Mhm.
I think they have a space that's broken because you look at a lot of the monster parent companies, and you can still only have 3 rental properties or 4 landlord properties per primary property, and they all have like their own underwriting guidelines. They got to have home auto with us before we can let them write 4 rental properties. We're max out cap at 8 rental properties. Some I have seen, and every state they cap at 5, 6, 7, 8. Every state is different. So with so many traditional legacy carrier looking at landlord property as something that's not profitable, that they just use to attach it to the home auto, and you have a company say, hey, you know what, we are only going to be good at one thing and one thing only. I think 2022 beyond, it's going to be rewarding the niche companies as far as the parent company buyout. I don't know how I
Yeah.
feel about that
Well,
one.
I know when we have the first buyout candidate, it'll probably come from an intro from Jeff. So that's why,
Yeah.
once again, I stay close to him because he is definitely
Well,
in
I
that
mean,
space.
I think this is very legitimate, though. I really think it's something we have to look at. We talked about it yesterday in the mastermind a lot. That we'll use Codery as an example.
Yep.
Codery gets out there, starts slamming through, just eating up small business. Hartford just doesn't stand there and take that. They just don't go, oh, look at those guys over there. They buy that shit immediately and shut it down. It's the same stuff that happens in the AMS world with Vertifor and Applied. But now it's just you're going to start seeing this in the insurance carrier because there's all these little fish out there, these openlies, these branches, these clear covers, these Obies that are out there now. And then the next 2-3 years, there's going to be more. And as we know, those little guys will buy those littler guys. But it comes to this point in time where, I mean, right now, I'm pretty sure Hartford, American Modern, foremost, is sitting there looking at you going, okay, let's see if anybody else pops up. But if not, we're going to get this guy. And I just really see that happening. And that's nothing bad.
No.
It's nothing great, but it's just the way the market goes. And I can see that. Matt, you live in it. What do you think about that?
I agree. So actually, this comes up a lot in our we call it the ET meetings or whatever. Our executive team, and I'm always pushing us to we're actually be a technology within the space, right? Who happens to have started with rental insurance first, because I'm with you. I think that the legacy carriers. They need this layer 2 solution, right? I'm going to keep hitting crypto because Jeff's on the call with me here, but these legacy carriers are this big Ethereum, right? Like they're this big, massive, movement, and they don't move as fast, right? So 100%, I think we're going to be a huge target for legacy carriers and American Modern. All these ones are going to go, but what they really want from us is a faster distribution. They want us to be
That's right.
Amazon for them, right?
That's
And
right.
so that's really what interests me. I always say, let's keep building great technology. I just talked about how we can connect to independent agents and help their data better. We're starting with rental first. It's just like it's like Costco, right? Like we're starting with other people's brands, distribution really good. We might eventually have our own products, our own Costco brands, but that's kind of our method. Is we want to bring technology so that State Farm tomorrow says, you know what, the reason we don't like our rental product is because it's such an overhead cost to us because X, Y, Z. But if we could connect it through Obie and get that into Fundrise, our expense ratio goes in half and blah, 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 right? Or things. So we are concentrating on both. We are concentrated building out as a MGA, as a carrier, but we're also knowing that we have the ability to really be kind of a layer 2 solution for potentially some carriers as well.
A layer 2
Cass, think of
solution,
this way.
Jeff. We're always coming up with new things. Last time it
Cass,
was the Web 3.0 by Mr.
Yep.
Shi
Web 3.0, Web 3, and
and Velocity
Velocity
on
of
Money.
Money.
And
But
Matt just throws out here a
think,
layer 2. What was it?
think of this way. Think of it this way. Did Amazon buy Zappos to kill Zappos, or did Amazon buy Zappos to 10x Zappos?
Probably try to 10x them, but
If you find a really, really fancy toy, you're going to buy them and say, here's more money. Go do what you do. That's what Facebook did with Instagram. And they try to do it with Snapchat, right? But Facebook, when they bought Instagram, they say, okay, we bought you $1 billion, but we really think you could be a $50 billion company. I hope they didn't take the $1 billion in money. I hope they took it in Facebook stocks. Can you imagine 17 years ago, Tony Tsai took $1.4 billion of Amazon stock?
wow.
Yeah.
Right? Think about that. So what I think is kind of cool is, a company like Obie, if I was in the E-team shoes, I would just not just look at legacy carriers as, a Hartford could be buy me out. Of course, there are Chubbs of the world. Chubbs, they have demonstrated to the world that when they had that $24 billion purchase offer to Harvard, that Chubbs is shopping, right? So Chubbs is out there shopping. But the most coolest thing, I think, could be, imagine Obie and Branch, where Obie and openly say, let's swap shares. I'm just thinking out loud, like, what would I do, right? Like, if I was in the distribution force and I can help Obie grow and help Branch grow, I wouldn't just say, hey, you know what, let's work together. I would say, let's swap shares, because now we truly have integrated interests in each other's solutions. And the bigger we help each other grow, the bigger that end carrot, the exit is for both teams. And I think that's what you will see, like, in the coming days, when these InsurTech founders get rid of their pride and then they start swapping shares with each other and then start really embedding on each other's platform. Imagine ladder.com is embedded with like 7, 8 carriers, 2 or 3 InsurTech distribution companies, 4 or 5 rater companies. Imagine that. Like, this is when pride go out of the way and innovation start
Avengers,
happening.
And that's where I see the big InsurTech carriers buying the smaller ones. For instance, what you just said, not comparing size here, but why go and invent a rental platform and program and tools when you can just go buy Obie? And I'm not talking about Travelers. I'm not talking about Hartford. I'm talking about we'll just say some other home carrier, right? Why go build that out when you can do that? And then think of these InsurTech carriers buying each other, becoming a behemoth. We may have the opportunity for the bigger guys to. I think, truthfully, if someone can get big enough, they'll tell the legacies to go F off. It's just all about getting there.
Well, like,
you know what I mean?
so you have VRBO, you have Airbnb, right? If I was sitting in the E team, I would target them, right? I would target biggerpockets.com. I would target stuff like that. But, VRBO and Airbnb, for them to target Obie as a purchase, that makes sense, right? And imagine having swap shares, cash and shares of someone like a VRBO or Airbnb. So, the world really opens up, like, when you talk about the exit strategy, and it gets really crazy. But, we saw the Liberty Mutual purchase of Stay Auto. They literally purchased like premium for purchase price, right? Like, there was like dollar for dollar. So if somebody come trying to purchase Obie, they really got to have an Imagine build out for the next 10 years. Imagination is really important.
The buyout isn't really, it's something that, everyone talks about. I mean, it's there, but really, Jeff just brought up something, and Jeff and I, and he's got us connecting with some of the founders in the space and everything like that, as a side note. But really, I brought up this idea to Ryan, our CEO, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, and I called it Avengers, right? And it's very similar to what Jeff mentioned, is that I want to be part of the revolution, not just like, did something small in it and had an exit. And I think that over the next X amount of years, even the agency force or the broker force can be completely done differently. So if you got, let's call it, the top 15 InsurTechs right now, they're all doing a different product, or maybe even and you combined and made one Goosehead, right? I'll just use as an example, right? So now the agent of the future, right? I'm Matt. I want to start in a brokerage. I'm in Indiana. I don't have any employees. I go out and get an Avengers contract, right? and I automatically get a Hippo, a Lemonade, an Openly, a Clear Cover, a Cover Hound, an Obie, all these ones where I can literally, sell and service, using these new carriers, right? It's like what we've been doing for years with SIA and Goosehead, right? They provide you the Travelers, the Safeco, or whatever. This could be the next thing for it, and that's how I would like to work with the other InsurTechs, is getting
I like
involved
that.
in something like that where we're combining all our powers. Maybe there's some, share swap or whatever, but really, the reason the Avengers worked is they were
Mm-hmm.
all talented on their own, right? They all had their superpowers, but when they came together, they could, go after that guy with the rings, So that's what interests me, is all of us coming together and starting the next wave of aggregates, the next wave of the insurance in a box for new agents, things like that.
I like.
Talk about Ryan and Aaron.
What'd you say?
Drop it. Talk about Ryan and Aaron. I mean, like, talk about the people that, how
Yeah.
did you guys meet, and then what led to one
Yeah, so
thing to
Ryan
another
and
thing to
Aaron
another
are
thing.
brothers. We are all from Michigan. They called me a few. Yeah,
So for the listeners, Ryan and Aaron are the other two
yes, yep.
co-founders of
So
Obie.
yeah, they started Obie, and then we merged my company Skylight into Obie a few years back. And my connection with them was very simple. At the time, they were building out a tech platform in the real estate space, just like Facebook and these other things. They were trying to figure out how to monetize it. First step, to save your listeners a boring story, is they were going to use insurance to monetize it, right? So younger brother Aaron was best friends with my cousin. That was the connection in Michigan. He gives me a call one rainy Friday, says, "Hey, we're trying to work with one of the big, like, Gallagher type things. It's not working out that great. Can we meet? Can you quote our stuff out and pay us a split commission? We'll have our PNC license, blah, blah, blah." So we started out as kind of a referral share partner type situation. They started to grow as a company. They went to Y Combinator program out in San Francisco. Came out of that, they realized that they wanted to be kind of an InsurTech carrier or an MGA type feel. At that time, it made sense for us to, combine companies. We stuck under the Obie umbrella because that had the better brand, the more, VC behind it, the better InsurTech feel to it. But the unique thing about our InsurTech company is we're actually built by insurance people, and we have a pretty large brokerage, in the back of it, right? Which most InsurTechs were formed by a former founder of 3M or whatever, and they decided they wanted to get in the insurance space. So, we have a good mix of actual insurance people at our company. So that's really how it all started, and where we're at today.
All right, dude. Good stuff, right? Jeff, I'm loving it. Let's go ahead and wrap this up here with InsurTech Week, better than Shark Week. Jeff, what do you think, brother? Got anything last minutes to say? I think this was a great conversation. We went places we didn't know we were going to go.
No, it's great. It's awesome. Anything fun on the horizon for us on 2022 outside of bringing on the broker channel?
2022 is, I mean, brokers are going to be a big part of it, launching these partners. For us in 2022, internally, it's going to be a lot about capacity, right? That you start to think about that as you get into the MGA carrier space. Is, as a carrier or as a broker, you just assume you can write whatever you want as much as you want. If you have carriers, when you start to get into this space, you start to think about, okay, how much can I really write in the state of Florida? So capacity in those meetings are big, and then I think really just getting our brand out there, right? Like, we've kind of stayed a little bit quiet because we weren't ready to, explode. So I think it'll be a year of really trying to get our name out there and, connect with people and do podcasts like this. And should be a fun year. I mean, I think we'll when we talk this time next year, we'll have a lot to celebrate.
Boom. I'm really excited about it.
Matt, who's your mentor? Who mentored you guys?
For me, my mentor has been, a few people, but to be honest with you, it's continuously my dad. I've always needed someone more as a sounding board and someone who can just kind of understand the highs and lows and different things like that. So, he's been that always for me. And then, to be honest with you, I find shades of that. I mean, to be honest with you, Jeff, not to just flatter you on here, you like, I find you as a form of a mentor, right? Like you're definitely keeping me involved in things and morning texts of, acquisitions and stuff like that. I love right now. I love Ryan Hanley. I love so
We all love Ryan. It's
yeah.
okay. It's a love
Ryan.
obsession. Yeah,
So
he is.
Shout out.
I
Big buff
find
muscles.
a lot of my mentors as peers. I mean, even within Aaron and Ryan, we do a lot of mentoring to each other because we have such diverse backgrounds. So I've learned so much about API and tech and real estate and all these things from those guys. So they've been huge mentors to me, and I've been kind of hopefully, giving them a little bit of business knowledge and insurance knowledge, back. So yeah, that's where I'm at with the mentor space.
Wow, fantastic! I'm
That's awesome.
excited. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate your time, Matt. Man, it's been good. Studio and Mr. Jeff Shi, thank you once again for joining me for InsurTech Week, which is better than Shark Week. And so I'll tell you what, Jeff, couldn't do it without you. Matt, thank you very much. Hope you're here in a year or two, because if not, you're going to be sitting on a beach really pockets full of cash from your merger. Stay strong, brother. Stay with the IA channel, because we are the greatest out there, I promise you. Hey, for all you loyal listeners, you know what I do, because I do it for you. Tell me your thoughts and tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. This has been Cass, he, she, and that is Sutika, and we are out.